I first tried road tubeless tyres 5 years ago. I had all sorts of trouble and quickly went back to tubes. Now I'm trying tubeless again, and I've tried to learn from my previous experiences. There's a link to a series of videos in the top right. In this video I come to some sort of a conclusion. Did tubeless work for me this time? To give the tubeless technology a better chance of working, I selected some tyres that I could run at lower pressures. Unfortunately, I bought tyres that were non-tubeless specific. However, I tried them tubeless anyway, and I found any leakage through the sidewalls quickly sealed. Unfortunately, there was still leakage through the tyre bead. I determined that the rim bead profile was not a problem, so the leakage was for another reason. No matter what I did, the tyres continued to lose pressure and would have required pumping up every few hours. I continued to swish the sealant around the tyre and things got a bit better, but they were still going flat overnight. After trying for some time, I decided to switch to some tubeless tyres, my Maxxis Ramblers. I fitted one of these onto the rear wheel. All looked good at first, yet it still deflated overnight. I decided to take the tyres off of both wheels, strip them completely down, put a new rim tape on each wheel, inspect the rims, and then put the tyres back on. I pumped them up to 60 psi and then left them overnight. The following morning, about 12 hours later, I found that the front tyre was still reasonably well inflated. It had lost some pressure, but not a lot. However, the tubeless tyre on the rear was just completely flat. I swished the sealant around the tyres again and repeated the operation. The following morning I had exactly the same result. This left me very confused. The non-tubeless tyre on the front was now maintaining the pressure fairly well. However, the tubeless tyre on the rear was just going down too quickly. I'd spent hours and hours trying to get these tyres to inflate and stay inflated. For the potential saving of a few minutes next to the side of the road, I decided it wasn't worth it, and that perhaps I should just go back to tubes again. I mounted my Schwalbe G1 tyre back on the rear wheel, but this time with a tube in it. As the front one was now maintaining its pressure, I decided to leave it and run that one tubeless. All the hype and marketing materials around tubeless tyres suggest the benefits could be fantastic, so I really wanted my new tubeless tyres to work out. The reality is I spent a lot of effort and money trying to get tubeless to work, and so far it doesn't look as though any real benefits are going to be realised. One positive is the non-tubeless tyres I used mounted and sealed just as well as tubeless specific tyres. Although with both types of tyres, the tyres still lost pressure and would require pumping up at least every time I went out for a ride. Having talked to other users of tubeless tyres, this doesn't seem to be that unusual. As the tyres took a long time to deflate, the gaps or holes through which the air was leaking must have been very small, so I would have expected the sealant to block them. After some time, the rate of air loss did decrease, which suggests that the sealant was starting to work. If the sealant can't block those small gaps and/or takes a long time to block those gaps, then I'm not confident that it will work for a proper puncture. And this is what happened to me 5 years ago. More recently, I experienced similar behaviour out on the road when one of my ride partners got a puncture in their tubeless tyre. Not only did it not seal very well, but the repair effectively ruined that £50 tyre. Having said that, I do know people that think tubeless tyres are brilliant. Despite huge amounts of marketing telling me that tubeless tyres are the best thing since sliced bread, this has not turned out to be the case for me. I'm no further on than I was 5 years ago. In my testing, the ability for tubeless tyres to remain inflated for any significant period is inconsistent. Sometimes it was okay, but often it was not. The inability of the tyres to stay inflated cast real doubt on the sealant's ability to seal what would be a real puncture. This is backed up by what I have experienced and seen out on the road. It seems to me that going tubeless requires quite a lot of workshop time and not an insignificant monetary investment in order to gain what is potentially a few minutes saving next to the side of the road. As losing a bit of time next to the side of the road isn't important to me, I've decided to go back to tubes. Maybe in another 5 years I'll have another go with tubeless. And some new tubes have just been delivered to me. I will, of course, persevere running that front tyre tubeless, and if and when there are any developments I'll report them back to you. In the meantime, I'd love to hear what you think I might be doing wrong, and hear about your own experiences running tubeless tyres on your road bikes. From me, for now, it's goodbye.